Hello, wonderful people of the internet. Welcome back to the Anthony Morris Returns channel. My name is Chaka. At the ongoing 2024 Declare the Good News Convention of Jehovah's Witnesses, the Jehovah's Witnesses leadership has continued to double down on the no blood policy, a shocking, unscriptural, and unnecessary policy that continues to claim the lives of Jehovah's Witnesses. I have quite a bit to say on this, so let's get into it after the intro.
But you can't do that, said one of the critics.
It doesn't bother me.
Really? Again? Really?
Look at that little enemy of God.
Somehow we dilly-and-dally. Takes us years, and we wonder why.
What are you waiting for?
I received a phone call that a sister had passed away while giving birth. When people in the area heard that our sister had died, they got angry. They assumed that our sister had died because of having refused a blood transfusion. On the day of the burial, there was a difficult situation. Some family members did not want Jehovah's Witnesses to carry out the funeral ceremony. They just took the coffin away and headed to the cemetery without giving us a chance to deliver the talk. As soon as possible, we came up with an alternative plan since we saw the need for encouragement. We decided to go to the Kingdom Hall to have the talk there, which made it possible for the brothers and sisters to be strengthened by the Kingdom Hope. The news of what happened on this day spread like wildfire. We were nervous when we thought of going out in the ministry, so we had to rely on Jehovah to go and preach to the same people who had reacted aggressively at the funeral. Without a doubt, Jehovah and His Spirit helped us, and we were able to preach to these people. We were also relieved when the medical officials explained why our sister died. That it was not because she refused the blood transfusion. That really was an answer to our prayers. At first, the husband of the deceased sister was the only witness in his family. But eventually, after all of this took place, 2 of his relatives became Jehovah's Witnesses. Another interesting fact is that 2 chiefs who were present at the funeral attended the memorial. The wrong view some people had toward us changed, thanks to the power of the good news and the peaceable attitude of our brothers and sisters.
Wasn't that a wonderful example in a bad situation? What was the reaction of the congregation when gossip was spread about them? Did they focus on the bad news, the harmful gossip? No, they stayed positive and kept preaching about the kingdom message. And in time, did you notice that 2 honest-hearted ones were drawn towards Jehovah? And then 2 chiefs also attended the memorial? Beautiful example. At times, people may say things to us that are unfair and critical. They might do this that hurt our feelings. And we may long for justice. And we wish we could do something to undo the reputation. Yet there is something that we can actually do. If someone spreads a lie about us, we can live our lives in such a way that no one will ever believe that lie. Indeed, as Jesus' example shows, our personal record of upright Christian conduct can not only defeat, but it can conquer harmful gossip.
So, where do I even begin? Where do I even begin? So a literal sister has died because of refusing a blood transfusion, because of not being allowed to have a blood transfusion during childbirth. And I'm going to come back to this in a second. And the Jehovah's Witnesses were uploading this video when a literal person had died because of, as I mentioned in the introduction, a shocking, inhumane, unnecessary, unscriptural policy. That's number 1. Number 2, listen to the language. that this speaker is using about how people have reacted to this shocking policy. So people are rightly indignant about this situation because this is an unnecessary loss of life, the loss of life of a potentially a young mother, a new mother. We're not even told what happened, whether the baby survived this childbirth. Then this baby, if they survive, they're going to grow up without a mom because, again, of an unnecessary, unscriptural policy. But look at the language that this person is using. First of all, he's saying that the way the Jehovah's Witnesses reacted, which was to prioritize door knocking, despite the death of one of their members, prioritize trying to recruit other people into this religion. He says it's a wonderful example, it's a beautiful example. And also look at the language he's using against the people who are rightly indignant because of this situation. He says their reaction was unfair. It was critical. They were spreading harmful gossip. They were spreading lies. Now, where are the lies? Where are the lies when it is in reality that this woman has died as a result of refusing a blood transfusion? The argument that Jehovah's Witnesses make is that it wasn't the refusal of a blood transfusion that caused the death of this individual. It was the medical condition. Yes, the medical condition is the one that creates a situation where the person needs a medical intervention. So nobody ever dies because of having an operation. Nobody ever dies because of being given or not being given a certain type of medication. People die because there is a medical condition that has already arisen. But if you withhold medical treatment, medical intervention, such as surgery, such as medication or another form of a medical intervention, and then the person dies, you could rightly say that there's been negligence on that part, on the part of whoever is involved in withholding that necessary medical intervention, and you could rightly say that the person has died as directly as a result of withholding that medical intervention, which is what has happened with this sister. So how is it harmful gossip? And yes, people are right to be critical. When something is wrong, you have to be critical. You have to criticize that situation so that that situation does not repeat itself. How is it harmful gossip? How is it a lie when people are actually just saying the facts as they are? Going back to this language, people assumed that the sister died as a result of refusing blood. How did they make the assumption? People obviously heard that this person ended up in a situation where they could have been saved by a simple procedure as a blood transfusion, but because of the Jehovah's Witnesses' shocking policies, this woman has not been saved, and it is not an assumption. They are just pointing to the facts. And when it comes to women dying during childbirth, this is actually a very serious situation for the Jehovah's Witnesses leadership, because there is something that is known as postpartum hemorrhage, where a woman can start bleeding shortly or a few minutes after childbirth. And the way this happens is that it happens very quickly, that when it is actually noticed by the medical professionals, the only intervention that might be helpful in that situation might be a blood transfusion. And what the Jehovah's Witnesses have done is they target these people that are going in for that are pregnant and are due to have labor, and they say to them, well, look, you might experience postpartum hemorrhage, and you have to tell the doctors in advance that you're willing to lose your uterus, so you're willing to have a hysterectomy as opposed to having a blood transfusion, which might mean that it might not only save your life, but it might give you the opportunity to have more children if that's what you plan to do. So the Jehovah's Witnesses are told you should have a hysterectomy if the West comes to the West. They talk about some strategies like the cell salvage machine. But in the case of this woman in an African country like Malawi, and very plausible that the hospital she was in does not have those facilities such that they could facilitate a cell salvage. And even if you facilitated a cell salvage, when postpartum hemorrhage has begun, it is so critical that it may not be possible to save the life of that individual. I actually have a friend that I work with that experienced postpartum hemorrhage during childbirth, and this friend told me that they had to have 6 liters of blood transfusion, and if that had not happened, this lady would not be alive today. This is a young person in her early 30s. She would not be alive today. She had an older child. Her older child would probably not have a mom today, the younger child may or may not have survived that situation, or both children may not have had a mom. And there's a procedure, a simple, safe procedure, like a blood transfusion, giving her 6 liters of blood literally saved her life, and she's alive and well today. And the same could have been said of this woman in Malawi, had there not been this shocking policy by the Jehovah's Witnesses. And yet, they're playing the victim here. Apparently, the Jehovah's Witnesses are the victims in this situation. Even though an actual woman has died, she has lost her life, they're the victims. They're the ones that are being slandered. They're the ones whose reputation needs to be rebuilt. And the focus in all this situation is recruiting more people. So a literal woman has died, but they have to try and recruit the chief into the religion. They have to try and recruit the husband's family members. There is no talk of any actual comfort and support that is being offered to this man. He may have other children, older children. He may have a newborn baby that now has to grow up without a mom because of the shocking policy, but there is no talk whatsoever as to what support is being given to this man, as long as he is trying to recruit other family members and other people into the institution. And then they also do this thing where they bring in this doctor. It makes you, we don't want to be conspiracy theorists, but it makes you wonder what they have said to this doctor, or what incentive they have given this doctor so that he should come and talk to people in the community and explain to them that the woman has not died as a result of refusing a blood transfusion. But if she has not died as a result of refusing a blood transfusion, what is the cause of death? Why are they not discussing that in this video? So I find it very shocking that they can put out such content and play the victim in a situation when an actual person has died, and there is no sort of words of comfort or consolation or any kind of regret as to this unnecessary loss of life. They even wanted to be the ones controlling the funeral arrangements, even though this individual had family members who were not Jehovah's Witnesses and who were not on board with this situation that had caused the death of this individual. So the fact that they were not allowed to control the funeral arrangements, again, is the Jehovah's Witnesses are the victims. So I find this very, very shocking. The other thing I just wanted to comment on is this seems to indicate that even though the Jehovah's Witnesses are making some meaningless changes to try and maybe make the lives of Jehovah's Witnesses less difficult, like they've reduced the necessity of reporting the amount of time that people go door knocking trying to indoctrinate other people. They have allowed men to grow beards. They have allowed women to wear slacks at the Jehovah's Witness events. It looks like they don't have any appetite whatsoever to drop this shocking policy, which I find really, really sad. And what I find even more sad is their lack of self-awareness, their lack of sympathy, their lack of empathy to people who unnecessarily fall victim to this shocking policy. So this is a sad video that I've had to make, of course, because I do want to comment on some of the egregious content that the Jehovah's Witnesses leadership put out. And I hope you found this video informative and useful. If you think this might be useful to anyone else, and particularly to individuals who are in the medical community, please pass this video along. And please don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the Anthony Morris Returns channel for more such videos. And I will see you on another video.
But you can't do that, said one of the critics.
It doesn't bother me. Really? Again? Really?
Look at that little enemy of God.
Somehow we dilly and dally. Takes us years, and we wonder why.
What are you waiting for?